FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City.
1 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Peterson. KSL's top story this hour. A storm has just started rolling into the area, triggering winter storm warnings. Drivers in the valley and along I-15 should expect to see slick roads today, and drivers at higher elevations and north of Bountiful should expect slushy and snow-covered roads. UDOT spokesperson John Gleason says drivers should avoid unnecessary travel.
So you want to make sure that you're prepared. If you have to travel in the higher elevations, carry an extra blanket, food, water, anything that could get you through, a scary few hours.
The storm is expected to last through Saturday. We're expecting a couple inches in the valleys and 1 to 2 feet in the mountains, depending on the area. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump has signed an executive order calling on his administration to determine a reciprocal tariff for each foreign trading partner of the U.S. A senior administration official suggested this would happen in a matter of weeks or months and on a rolling basis, starting first with countries that have the highest trade deficits with the U.S. And Utah Senator Mike Lee has introduced a bill that would help streamline the Trump administration's efforts to shrink the size of government. If passed, Congress would have 90 days to vote on any proposed reorganization plans, and there's no opportunity to filibuster. Your money at this moment. The Dow is up 341 points. The S&P is up 56, and the NASDAQ up 252. Coming up, that storm we mentioned is already hitting the roads hard. KSL emergency traffic is next. KSL News Time 102.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
If there's a problem during your siding, gutter, or window installation project, most contractors will try to hide it, ignore it, or blame someone else. It's called passing the buck or turning a blind eye, or my favorite, finger pointing. My question is, where is the accountability? Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and look, sometimes problems just happen, no matter who you hire. Maybe the wrong color siding gets delivered, despite the order being placed perfectly, or maybe a downspout gets cut short. Honestly, it could be anything. At RGS Exteriors, mistakes are rare, but if something goes wrong, I can absolutely, positively, 100% guarantee you we'll never hide it, and we'll never pass the buck. We'll make certain everything turns out right for you. That's people over profits. That's the RGS Exteriors way. For a free estimate on siding, gutters, or windows, call 801-280-3110, rgsexteriors.com, rgsexteriors.com.
This is Derek Overstreet of the New Millennium Group and host of Stop Working and Start Living Radio. If you're close to or in retirement and you don't have a tax plan, call us right now, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Listen, our country's been spending like never before, and the tax bill is coming soon. If you need an income tax strategy and a financial plan that will get you through the rest of your life, give my team a call, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. If you want an investment plan that allows you to keep more of your gains and pay less taxes, give us a call, 888-999-6370. My team specializes in the type of plan that will get you retired 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible. So, get a no-cost tax analysis by calling 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. My team is standing by now.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit ConsumerCellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Emergency traffic brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Here's Ricky Meese.
We do have snow causing problems for drivers up north, and that's anywhere between Perry all the way down to Lagoon, and that includes I-15, where we've had a lot of crashes, including one in the Marriott-Slaterville area that's really causing some stop-and-go delays. It's also moving east, so anticipate I-84 through the canyon, the lower portion on the way to Mountain Green, to be slick and rough. But if you are in Salt Lake and Utah counties, anywhere from about 2100 south all the way down to Springville, chances are the roads are being hit and covered with snow. Plows are out. It's going to take them a while to catch up with all that we have received in the last hour. Do not pass the snow plows. Be prepared for winter driving conditions, no matter where you're traveling in this storm. Looking for the perfect suit for that special occasion? Mr. Mac has the best suit selection for any occasion. And get winter clearance pricing today. Visit their 9 convenient locations or MrMac.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Winter weather advisory is in effect for the Wasatch Front until 11 o'clock tonight. This storm that's bringing the snow throughout the region is expected to last through Saturday, with temperatures hanging out in the 40s. Right now, it's snowy, windy, and 29 degrees. I'm Heather Peterson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
We've now crossed the halfway point of the 2025 Legislative General Session. Just 22 days to go in the 45-day session. Thomas Wright is here with me. I'm your host, Leah Murray. Thomas is the CEO of Summit Sotheby's International Realty, and you all know that I am KSL's resident political science professor from up at Weber State University. Welcome to Inside Sources, everyone who's listening. And Thomas, it's such a pleasure to spend time with you.
I love being in studio, Leah, with you and the crew here. I can't wait to talk about all the topics we have. It's going to be a fascinating couple of hours.
All right, Thomas, so let's kick off today's show with a discussion on some of the hottest topics on Capitol Hill. Who do we have coming?
We have Speaker Schultz. And how fortunate are we to have these public servants that go up to the legislature, they leave their careers. It's kind of, in a lot of ways, it's a huge sacrifice. And to have the speaker on to talk about a couple of things during the session is a real treat and a real privilege. So we're going to get right to it in the interest of preserving his time. Speaker, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Hey, Leah and Thomas, thank you for having me. It's an honor for me to be with you guys.
Okay, I'm going to get right after it, Speaker. Number one, I have loved your discussion about revamping higher education, right? And aligning career paths with higher education. So right out of the chute, the question is you're running a bill that expands career and technical education across the state. What does that look like, and why is that important? Why have you made that a priority?
Yeah, you know what? Thank you for asking about that, Thomas. I'll tell you what. So one of the things that I've had the opportunity to do over the last couple of years is go and visit a lot of schools around the state. And as I go and visit different high schools and different schools overall, but mainly high schools, I'm kind of a tech student, actually, and not kind of, I am a tech student, and I love to go visit the tech programs, the vocational arts programs, the technical education, the CTE courses that they offer, and see how things are going. And every time I go, I talk to those teachers, and they say, "Man, we don't have enough money to expand our program. We have all these needs. We have so many students wanting to do the program, and the needs there, but we don't have the resources to do it." And then I went and visited a Catalyst Campus Center, which is in Davis County, and it is a technical high school, a CTE high school, specifically for technical education. And what I saw there, I was blown away at that program. It involves industry. They have all the money that they need. Not all the money, they're being a little bit exaggerative, but they have the money that they need. It's a priority for that school district. And their enrollment numbers are through the roof. Kids are excited. I walk in there, kids are working on projects. They're busy learning about not just technical programs, but they're learning about budgets and how to get projects done on time. Industry is there. And there's so many neat and wonderful things. But one of the things I noticed as I walked through that program, kids are not on the phone in their programs. They're busy. They're doing things. They're involved, interacting with each other, and they're developing the programs together as a group. And I just loved what I saw, and I want to expand that all across the state.
Yeah, and I love what you said, Speaker, about liberal arts education and how it has a role, and some people enjoy that, and it's a good fit for some people. But there's also a lot of people that want to get into trades, right? They want that technical education. They want to graduate. I watched my daughter in the high school program here in Salt Lake City get involved in the Health Professionals Academy, and later went to UVU and became a nurse and is now working in the NICU. And how excited she was coming home from school every day, and to your point of like getting off her phone. And so is that part of your vision to revamp higher education?
Well, yeah. So I think these things all work together, right? Look, our liberal arts programs, they play an important role in our society. But we have a lot of programs set up at all of our universities that are only graduating 1 to 3 students per year. Let's collapse some of those programs. They'll still be offered, and with technology these days, they can still be offered. They will still be available. Let's collapse some of those programs, and then let's take the money that's saved and put it into nursing. Good luck getting into a nursing program across our state. They're hard to get into and waiting lists, but yet we have a huge demand for nurses. Leah, I'm sure you know a lot about that.
Yeah.
You're at Weber State. Weber State has one of the best programs in the state. I do think Weber State does have the best program in the state, but do you know how hard it is to get into that program? And so let's take and expand some of these areas with some of the savings.
Well, I love that you're saying that because, and I don't want to embarrass my daughter, but she had to try a couple times to get into UVU's program. It was full, and it's a killer when you know we need those nurses and we have these bright kids that want to do it, and then the programs aren't big enough to take them. Let me shift gears, Speaker, if that's okay. Thanks for sharing your vision there. There's been a lot of chatter in the legislature about eliminating or modifying vote by mail. Where does this proposal stand? Why did you take that on? How are you looking at that?
Well, I'll tell you what, this last election cycle was hard for those elected officials. Our county clerks got the crap kicked out of them. Our lieutenant governor and governor got the crap kicked out of them. We as a legislature got, a lot of pressure put on us. And you look at our overall elections, I think we do a fairly good job here in Utah. However, if you look at our election security, there are some real concerns out there with the processes that we have. Utah ranks in the bottom third of the nation in election security and that's concerning, right? And so it's not fair to our good lieutenant governor, to our governor and our county clerks to give them a program that needs to be more secured, and then have some of the problems that are out there and get highlighted in the audits and different things. And so we're looking to kind of revamp some things. Again, we don't want to take away what people love most about vote by mail, but what we want to do is find ways to secure that. So that's what we're moving through the process trying to find.
All right, Speaker Schultz, earlier you talked about, I loved what you said, that the Catalyst Centers need money, right? You said that when you went to the Davis High School, there was a lot of energy there. They had not everything they needed, obviously, but they had enough. Right. How do you, just if you don't mind commenting, I feel like appropriations are complete. Maybe we've got a state budget. Will those Catalyst Centers get all the money? How do you feel that all went? Yeah, go.
Yeah, Leah, great question. So over the last several decades, and again, education's tough. There will never be enough money, but resources have been moved away, or not moved away, but resources have not been placed in the CTE programs, the technical education programs. They've been placed in other areas. Well, we have some additional money this year that we can take and put it back into and grow our CTE programs. And so there's been I'm really surprised at the traction that this bill's gotten. And so this bill is part of the appropriations process. It has made it through the initial steps to get funded, and we'll see where it ends at the end of the day. It's asking for $65 million in additional that goes directly to these types of programs that involve industry, which then, by the way, when industry comes in, they make donations as well. So it leverages the $65 million that the state puts in towards this, and industry brings. So it really could bring more to the table than just what's being talked about with the state resources.
All right, we've been speaking with Utah House Speaker Mike Schultz. Thank you so much, Speaker, for spending some time with us this afternoon.
Thanks, Speaker.
Thanks for having me.
All right, next up on Inside Sources, a new bill file opened in the state legislature, which would add additional justices to the Utah Supreme Court. We're going to get into that after the break.
The newest part of your morning and still so familiar.
When you wake up and listen to a radio show, it's like you're a part of a family. You're listening in on people you know, and it's magnificent that Andy Farnsworth is sitting in the chair because he's someone we know.
Utah's Morning News. Andy Farnsworth joins Amanda Dixon to bring you important news in the car. 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
It's the Advanced Window Products President's Day sale. If the cold is seeping in through your old windows, Advanced Window Products will install state-of-the-art double-pane windows with insulated frames. Your home will take on an exciting new look, and you're going to save on your heating bill. And not for nothing, your air conditioning in summer. And right now, with the President's Day sale, you save $2,500 off 10 windows or more. For 38 years, Advanced Windows has been building beautiful custom windows and frames right here in Utah. There's no middleman, so you save. So keep out the cold, cut down your energy bills, and save $2,500 with one call to Advanced Window Products. 801-850-9100. An expert comes out for a no-pressure consultation. They'll tell you about the payment plans, including no payments for 24 months. The Advanced Window Products President's Day sale. Get $2,500 off. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or just go to advancedwindows.com.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Mother Nature basically having her way with the drive right now. If you are traveling any of the Valley freeways, I-15 especially between Brigham City and I'm going to say about Bountiful, as well as any main secondaries within that stretch, you can expect a very slow, very slick drive. And then Salt Lake and Utah counties, you have really been hit hard. Almost all of our roadways are snow-covered, very slow speeds, a lot of crashes and slide-offs. It doesn't matter where you're traveling, and it goes from Cedar Valley, Cedar Fort, all the way into Summit County, and that's the lower elevations and the higher elevations. So if you are out and about right now, add at least an extra 30 to 45 minutes minimum of travel time, and that's if you're on I-15. And if you think the freeways and the main secondaries are bad, some of those side streets are completely snow-covered. With that snow packed in, it is slick and low visibility at times, so you may want to consider whether or not you really have to be out on the roads at this time. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Did you know the Social Security Trust Fund is projected to run out of money in less than 10 years? Yes, 10 years. And according to Barron's, this could cost the average couple $16,500 every year in lost income. Now multiply that by 10 or 20 years, and it could easily add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's why it's critical you have the right strategy to file for Social Security. Learn more in a free report. Your guide to filing for Social Security in 2025 and beyond. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $200,000 and have not filed for Social Security, get your free report now by calling 801-251-1046. 801-251-1046. That number again, 801-251-1046.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
You hear that? That's the sound your new water makes just before it gets to your bottle. It's the purest, cleanest, and healthiest water you can possibly drink. At Little Spring Water, it's simply nature in a bottle. Little Spring Water is a family-owned and operated bottled water company right here in Utah, nestled in a beautiful canyon in Bear Lake. This spring has been in the family for 5 generations, and now it can be in your home or office as well. No chemicals, no additives, just pure, clean, healthy water. And because Little Spring Water is local, you can get it at a fraction of the cost at your favorite grocery store. But did you know you can have it delivered right to the office? Give your employees something they can enjoy day after day. And while it's a great way to show appreciation, you should be warned. Once they get a taste of Little Spring Water, they won't ever want to go without it. It's just that good. Little Spring Water. Nature in a bottle. littlespringwater.com.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Lawmakers at Utah's Capitol Hill have introduced several bills this session addressing the role of the judiciary here in the state of Utah. Now, a new bill looks at the possibility of expanding the Utah Supreme Court, specifically adding more justices. The bill file was opened by State Representative Jefferson Moss just yesterday. He wasn't available to come on the show. The legislative session's in full gear, but Leah, let's talk about it.
So a little bit right there, Thomas. Can you tell us, why do you think the legislature is doing this? So I want to just kind of say, being thoughtful of checks and balances, right? Like each of these branches have a role to play, but the court doesn't have a required number, right? So it's not like there's 29 senators, right? Like, so I guess you could always expand it. Do you have a sense of why now? Like, what's the energy here now?
I did my best to research this. I did not speak to Representative Moss, but in my research and reading this and following this, it sounds like they believe, those that are maybe advocating for this are saying that there's some inefficiencies. The state has grown, and that maybe the number of justices should grow. Therefore, but then I read Christine Durham, who was the Chief Justice, right, of the Utah Supreme Court, and she said having more justices would create more inefficiency because you have more opinions and you have more administration, and so there's definitely two sides of the coin. But Leah, I couldn't help but ask myself the question when this came up: how does this compare to the Democrats' efforts last year or previously to expand the United States Supreme Court?
Yeah.
And, did you find some parallels in that like I did?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. So let's be fair to Representative Jefferson Moss. He does have a statement, couldn't join us today, but in his statement he says, over the past decade, we have seen growing caseloads, delays, and evolving legal complexities in Utah's highest court. The legislature has the ability to adjust the court's size in response to these growing demands. As such, I've opened a bill file to explore the potential of adjusting the number of justices on the Utah Supreme Court. Which sounds just like what you said at the beginning, right? Like we've got workload, there's caseloads, we've got evolving legal complexities. And a little bit Democrats might say the same. Look, we've got a United States Supreme Court. 9 is maybe not enough. We've got evolving caseload. There's legal complexities. My goodness, no one understands what to do with big tech. Probably what we need are some more people. But I don't know that I'm persuaded the Democrats meant that when they talked about packing the court.
Yeah.
And that's why it's not that I'm questioning Representative Moss at all. I think it probably has a lot to do with growing caseloads. But it does always feel like, so let me just pick on Justice Durham if that's okay. Of course, she's going to say we don't need any more judges. Because if we add more judges, that right, takes their power and divides it.
Dilutes it.
Right, dilutes it, makes it have more people. But the legislature saying we need more. I have to think part of that is to exert or assert some power over what they see coming out of the judiciary.
I love our system of government. Can I just tell you, these checks and balances and the jostling for position between the judicial branch and the executive, and in this case, the legislative, is so healthy.
Yeah.
It really is healthy. And they have to stay within their constitutional limits and in the bounds, but they can also press each other. And I find Representative Moss to be thoughtful. And I take him at his word here when I read this statement that he gave us that says he wants to explore the potential of adjusting the number of justices. And I like that, because what he's basically saying in that statement is, I want to just explore it. What would be the pros and cons? Let's talk about it. And so why I first thought there was a parallel between the U.S. Supreme Court and Utah in this case, after research, I realized there really wasn't, because in that case, the Democrats at the national level wanted to pack the court. They didn't like how many conservative justices there were, and they flat out said they wanted to pack it and dilute it.
Right.
That's not what Jefferson Moss is saying here. Representative Moss is saying he wants to explore the possibility based on caseloads, delays, and evolving legal complexities.
Yeah, let me ask that political question right there, right, Thomas? So the answer is Democrats were reacting to Dobbs, right? So they are like, we have a conservative court. They overturned abortion. Abortion is clearly an issue for the Democrats and their base, right? It does win for Democrats when they talk about it. So they are saying the reason why that happened is because we have all these conservative judges. How do we protect abortion rights? Then let's add and let's pack the court. On this one, I don't hear it tied to a really specific issue, right?
Right.
So
That's why it feels different to me.
Yeah, it totally feels different. But I wonder a little bit politically, was it a bad move by Democrats? Like maybe they should have said behind closed doors, we're really angry about Roe, right? And so, but out front they'd say we should be exploring the possibilities that maybe 9 is not enough. So I guess what I'm asking is maybe the Republicans in the legislature are just kind of smarter about the messaging. I mean, I hear you and I do take him at his word, right? I totally respect that. But a little bit they might realize, man, if we tied this to, I don't know, a ruling on Amendment D, then it becomes about Amendment D, right? And not about the judges. I don't know that that's why they are pushing us now. They didn't say that, but I do kind of wonder maybe it's just better political messaging, or they're just smarter about it than Democrats were.
Yeah, maybe. And I think also in addition to that, judges are not elected for a reason, right? Because their job is to go in and read and interpret the law, and do so. Lady Justice is blind. She has a blindfold on, and they hear the case and they apply the law, and they don't fear the political ramifications of an election. Now, some judges in Utah are put on the ballot, and there's a procedure for that. But there's a reason they're not elected, and that's it. And so the legislative branch here is following their constitutional ability to look. As you pointed out, there's a minimum number of justices, but there's not a maximum.
Right.
And the state has changed and the state has grown. So exploring the potential, in the words of Representative Moss, is probably a wise thing. And all the factions are going to come out and they're going to speak their mind. And there's going to be a healthy debate. And that's what I love about this country.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a decision made. I just hope that, and this is, I don't think Representative Moss is doing this. I just hope at the national level with Democrats or the local level with Republicans that the supermajorities or the majorities aren't exercising the political will through the judicial branch, because that's not how it's designed. It's designed to be a check and balance to what's happening.
Yeah, we've got like half a minute left. Can I put you right on a hot seat? And you do not have, you can like
I
say
love the
no,
hot seat.
right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Thomas, do you think we need more judges?
I don't know enough about the
Okay.
caseloads and the delays. That's not a political answer. And as he describes the evolving legal complexities, but it doesn't. So I would like to learn more about that. Then I will come back and answer that question. I don't know a lot about that. I'm not an attorney. I'm in the real estate industry. But I will say the state has grown. The state has changed. And things do evolve and things do change. And it's smart for us to look at it and have the debate and make a really on-purpose, deliberate decision.
All right, Thomas, coming up on Inside Sources, let's take a quick break from state politics and shift to some Senate confirmations.
I love it.
Up in the United States Congress. We'll talk about something the Secretary of Education nominee said today in her hearing. Stay with us.
Good afternoon. It's 1:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Chaleos. KSL's top local story. A new bill encourages cities to work with the Department of Public Safety or lose some funding. Legislation appears to target Salt Lake City after state leaders criticized its public safety. Representative Casey Snyder tells David Dujanovic he's heard concerns from his constituents about safety downtown and says troopers could help make things safer.
They do public safety for a living. And we even have, within the confines of that, some real-world life experience in terms of Salt Lake City.
City officials say they know about the bill, but they don't see it as necessary. Our top national story from ABC News. The Trump administration is moving ahead with its buyout offers for tens of thousands of government employees.
The White House says 75,000 federal employees accepted the buyout offer. Administration officials said the goal was to get 5 to 10% of the federal workforce to accept, but they only got 3.1%, and the program is now closed. I asked Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt why the White House did not extend the deadline. She said this program will save millions of dollars for American taxpayers, and that's exactly what they wanted. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Your money at this moment. The Dow is up by nearly a full percent, up 378 points at 44,747. S&P up by 59. The NASDAQ up by 260 points. Snowy roads impacting your drive. We'll check the traffic and the weather coming up next. KSL News Time, 1:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Bish's is skipping this year's big RV show for a big reason. It costs each dealer a fortune. And guess who gets stuck with the bill? Yep, you. So skip the big show expense and come to the Bish's RV Better Than Show Pricing on-site event. February 13th through the 15th at Bish's RV of Salt Lake and American Fork. You'll get free admission, free parking, and better than show pricing on our entire inventory at both locations. Not just a few models we hauled to the show. Find pricing starting as low as $139 per month on approved credit and make 0 payments until May OAC. Plus, every remaining new 2024 on the lot is on clearance. And Bish's is the only place to shop the exclusive full lineup of Wayfinder RVs. Start shopping the best deals now at skipthervshow.com. Get free admission to the Better Than Show Pricing on-site event, February 13th through the 15th at Bish's RV in Salt Lake and American Fork, where memories begin. OAC based on 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock numbers 84832, 84308. Subject to prior sale. See delivery details. Deal number 822B426B.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pegol is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Are they promising you up to 10% growth per year guaranteed for your retirement income? If not, you need a new financial advisor. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hard-working folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 up front or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't work when you're supposed to be retired. And if any financial advisor tells you it's too good to be true, they simply don't have the options we do. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
Our emergency traffic coverage continues. It's brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Ricky.
The storm is in the valley and it is affecting traffic anywhere from Box Elder County through Utah County. But it is Salt Lake and Utah County that's just been whammied. We do have emergency traffic due to winter driving conditions. Southbound I-15 almost at a standstill. From Midvale to the point of the mountain, northbound I-15 from 2100 north. Lehigh to the point, again, at a crawl. We also have extremely heavy traffic delays northbound I-15 from Orem to Lehigh Main Street. If you don't have to be out on the roads, consider delaying your travel time. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
And the mix of rain and snow showers continues through tomorrow. Then on Saturday, those showers decreasing to about 40%. Right now, snowing and 28 degrees. I'm Maria Chaleos from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
More movement in the push for cabinet nominees to be confirmed in the Senate. Actually, we are watching the RFK Jr. swearing-in ceremony here in studio. Today, Secretary of Education nominee Linda McMahon testified before a Senate committee. RFK Jr., like I just said, is being confirmed right now. Tulsi Gabbard has been moved to be confirmed as the Director of National Intelligence. Kash Patel received enough committee votes to move to the full Senate to be the next FBI Director. So you're here with me, Leah Murray, alongside Thomas Wright. And Thomas, I feel back in December when Matt Gaetz's nomination kind of died, I feel like it happened within 24 hours, but I might not be remembering that super accurately. I thought more of these nominees might have some problems, but now I feel like we're just reporting this one passed, this one passed, this one passed.
Well, I mean, it's just a numbers thing, right? I mean, the election had consequences. The Republicans took control of the Senate, and in that advising consent, they are confirming Trump's nominees. And then, you know, the question is, and you and I were talking about it, like, do you like that process or not? You know, constitutionally, that's the Senate's job, the delegated authority to confirm the president's nominees. So there's checks and balances that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a CEO, I get to work with the people I want to work with, right?
Yeah.
And I get to assemble the team I want to assemble. And so regardless of who's winning the presidency, I've always hoped that they can get the nominees they want because ultimately the buck stops with them. They should be able to work with who they want. But they have to jump through these hoops with the Senate, and depending on the numbers, sometimes they don't get to work with who they want.
All right, so I'm going to pick on you a little bit about the United States Constitution because it says advise and consent. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to tell you what, Donald Trump did not go to the Senate and go, give me your advice on Tulsi Gabbard. So the part of that clause has been dropped for centuries now, Thomas. So I guess I'm going to push and say, couldn't we also drop the consent side? Maybe at least when it pertains to what you just said is the team of staff that would be around the CEO. So I absolutely think we should be confirming and having confirmation hearings for judges, right? For everyone who's listening, don't panic. I absolutely think we should have confirmation hearings, right, around ambassadors, right? I think those things have to do with policy. I might even be persuaded like a Kash Patel, which is an FBI directorship, maybe should be confirmed. But I do wonder what you just said. As a CEO, because the president is the chief executive officer of the government, right, which is the company that is America, he's got to do this job. Doesn't it seem to make sense that his cabinet nominees, maybe they should not have to just jump through these hoops? Maybe it is the case that if he wants Linda McMahon as the Secretary of the Education, he gets to have her.
Well, I think the difference is I'm the CEO of a company that I own. Some CEOs, you know, they're companies, they're CEOs of a company that the public owns. The president doesn't own the company. The president works for the shareholders, the citizens, the people of the United States of America. And those constitutional guardrails are put up to make sure that those people are well represented. So I think it's very dangerous territory to get into which part of the Constitution are we going to enforce and which are we not. And when we go down that road, Leah, it's a dead end because you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, the Constitution is the roadmap for our country. It is the governing principles of how the country is to run.
I agree with you.
And so many bad things have happened when we've broken from it.
Right. But also I would say, as I said off the air, it was not written into a stone tablet, right, Thomas? This thing was written by man. It has been changed 27 times. We have 27 amendments. And oftentimes we're making changes where we go, oh, yeah, actually, the way they designed it didn't work. And I do think you're not wrong. The president doesn't own America.
Right.
But an executive function is still an executive function.
Yeah.
So to a certain extent, what makes a CEO good at his or her job, right, would still be true at what makes a president good at his or her job. So a little bit, if it is the case that you need to have people around you when you are doing your business that actually catch your vision, you don't have to go necessarily to your board of trustees to confirm all of your staff, right? Like, I think we could be thoughtful, just like Representative Moss, let's explore, right? The idea that maybe there are parts of the executive branch that should be a little less tied to Senate confirmation hearings, just given the nature of the job. So
it's a lot harder to be a CEO with people that you haven't hand selected. Correct. I will tell you from personal experience.
Yeah.
Okay, that's number one. But I think what you pointed out is really important, and that is the Constitution does have a pathway to amendment. And if we want to go down that road, then there's a very arduous, difficult process that the founders, who I believe were inspired with this document, I do believe it was an inspired document that was designed to give our country this unprecedented prosperity and freedom and liberty. And I believe in that at my core. But if we want to change it, there are ways to do it, but it's extremely difficult to do. And I'm personally really grateful for that. Because then when, things go a different way for one political party or another, they can't just get in there and tweak the Constitution. We, the people, have the comfort of knowing that it's really difficult to change.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how much they don't like it. And that is the ultimate beauty of the Constitution is they have to follow the Constitution. They swear an oath to follow it. And so they should follow it. And if it wants to be changed and they want to change it, then go for it. See if you can jump through those hoops.
Yeah, and a little bit, all change starts maybe with someone having a conversation like we are right now, right, Thomas? So you're not wrong. I mean, I think, let's just talk about a curmudgeon in the Senate right now. One of my favorite senators is Senator Mitch McConnell, who has voted against Trump nominees. And I wonder a little bit, so you tell me, he's a Republican, Trump's a Republican. McConnell was the former Senate Majority Leader. He would have originally been the person like John Thune would have been shepherding these people through the United States Senate. And now he's voting no. He said no to RFK Jr., said no to Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, a little bit I'm wondering, is that him saying, oh no, like kind of articulating your position, which is no, the president doesn't get whoever he wants.
Yeah, I can't speak for Mitch McConnell, but it would seem that way for sure, right? I would just say when Senator Romney was leaving the Senate, like he was the one that was, kind of voting, against Trump more often in the Republican caucus than anybody. Who was going to replace him, if anybody? And Mitch McConnell would have been probably the most unlikely person because he was in leadership for so long, right?
Yeah.
And that's the way that this has played out. So I think there's some wrangling for power there. When you're a dissenting voice in a Senate that's very evenly divided, you garner a lot of power and a lot of attention. And I think Mitch McConnell understands that power structure.
Now, another thing, I just want to get to your point because you're loving the separation of powers. I hear it here today, Thomas. Secretary of Education nominee Linda McMahon in her confirmation hearing talking about how President Trump could possibly achieve one of the things he wants to do.
It is set up by the United States Congress, and we work with Congress. It clearly cannot be shut down without it.
So that is her talking about the Department of Education, which President Trump initially, I think earlier this week, maybe last week, was saying, I'm going to use an executive order to shut it down. And I was saying to my students in classes, like, he actually can't do that. When you have a cabinet position, it's statutory authority. That department exists because Congress says it should. And here is, a Trump nominee maybe agreeing with you, like it's not all just what the president wants.
Right. And I love those checks and balances, which is why following the Constitution is so important long term for the success of our country, because it's stronger and more likely to stand than any individual, right? And it has stood the test of time, and it will continue to. But I thought it was fascinating to have a nominee go in and speak in direct contrast to what the president had said about the Department of Education. But the good news is our Department of Education has been broken. It has been inefficient. We are way behind the curve on the national or on the international stage in our education system. As a parent, I know there's many parents out there that are tired of watching us do the same things we've always done in education that, quite frankly, are not working for everybody. And it's time to have a conversation about what will work and evolve and change and put our country in the top tier of education, which we're not right now. And that's a tragedy.
All right, Thomas. So next up on Inside Sources, let's come back to the Utah State Legislature. Another bill on Capitol Hill expanding price discounts for veterans who visit Utah State parks. We'll be with that after the break.
All the other programs out there push the drugs, and I wanted to do it not using drugs.
Worried about all the side effects from the new weight loss drugs? Let SOTA Weight Loss help you let go of the weight for good, without drugs, injections, or side effects.
It was just time. We saw ourselves in a picture and said, let's do it. And he called, and it's just been a wonderful journey. SOTA has all the parts that made it successful for us to lose weight. The counseling without drugs, it's the best program in my book.
SOTA Weight Loss is the #1 weight loss program in America for client satisfaction and results. And we have the proof at SOTAWeightLoss.com. Right now, when you join with a partner, you only pay for one. Let SOTA Weight Loss help you drop that belly fat faster than you ever dreamed, naturally. Go to SOTAWeightLoss.com right now. Achieve your weight loss goals with your partner and only pay for one. New clients only. Join now at SOTAWeightLoss.com. That's SOTA Weightloss.com. SOTA is state of the art.
Emergency traffic continues on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. We now have a freeway closure. Southbound I-15 is now closed to traffic in Pleasant View. That's prior to Far West in Weber County. Due to an accident south of that in Marriott, Slaterville, all southbound traffic must exit at 2700 North. Again, this storm is affecting almost all roadways in northern Utah, and that's anywhere from Box Elder County through Utah County, lower elevations, higher elevations. If you don't have to be out on the roads right now, don't. If you're on I-15 in Salt Lake and Utah counties, traffic at a standstill in portions anywhere between the South Interchange in Orem. If nothing else, do avoid I-15 in this portion of the valley because traffic pretty much at a crawl. You're not going to get anywhere until some of this snow has been cleared from the freeway. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
For 72 hours, you can save up to 50% off when you buy tickets to your favorite Tuacahn shows this season. Get the best deals on tickets to Tuacahns Broadway shows, like Disney's The Little Mermaid, The Wizard of Oz, Newsies, Elf, and $1 Million Quartet. Visit Tuacahn.org now through February 13th. Use promo code 72radio for buy one, get one, up to 50% off Broadway tickets. That's 72radio at Tuacahn.org.
Les Olson IT is your source for top quality technology. We carry the latest desktop and laptop PCs in stock, configured to your specific needs, and backed by our award-winning support team. And if your business demands high-performance hardware, we offer custom-built computers that can tackle any task. We also offer great computer accessories like monitors, keyboards, speakers, Fujitsu document scanners, and more. Get a quote today.
Les Olson IT. Sometimes when our furnace stops working, it's something simple we can fix ourselves, if we only knew how. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and the next time your furnace stops working, before you call a company out to fix it, try this first. Go shut the furnace down and make sure your air filter is clean. Go around the house and make sure the vents are open and there's nothing blocking the return air. If it's been a while since you've changed the batteries in your thermostat, go ahead and do that too. Then go turn the furnace back on, and if it stays on, you're probably good. If it stops working again, you're probably going to want a technician to check it out. If you don't know one, Any Hour Services has a special offer for any homeowners listening. One of our HVAC technicians will diagnose and troubleshoot your furnace for only $29. Then they'll explain what they found and present you with repair options. And don't worry, our technicians service all brands. Call Any Hour Services and let them know you heard about this $29 troubleshooting special on the radio. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
It's time for the Sportsman's Vacation and RV Show February 13th through the 16th at Mountain America Expo. Save $2 at UtahRVShow.com.
Inside Sources on KSL News Radio. Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
Veterans could get better discounts to visit Utah state parks through a bill this legislative session. It would expand on the existing Veterans with Disabilities Honor Pass, which grants discounts to veterans who have a service-related disability. Thomas, this sounds like easy. Obvious.
Get our veterans outdoors, honor them. The price tag for those that are interested, the fiscal note on the bill is $300,000. It seems like an appropriate way to honor our veterans and get them out into nature and let them enjoy our state parks, rather. And Senator Karen Kwan joins us to talk more about it. Senator, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for asking. I put my phone on speaker. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we totally can hear you, Senator. So tell us. I feel like maybe we already give veterans some discounts. And please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying, they don't deserve any more. Can you talk to us about, does this bill add to that, or does it carve out new types of veterans? Just kind of talk to us what the bill does.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a extension of the pilot program that we did last year where we gave veterans free passes, but the only 1,600 passes were available last year, and we did that so that so that we could get some data on how popular it is, whether or not it was sustainable, who was using it, who was picking them up, things like that, and it was very popular. All 1,600 passes were taken within what seemed like a matter of days, and we know it's very much supported, but is it sustainable? That was the question. So this year what we have is a program that looks at a 25% discount. We do already have an honors pass, which is disabled veterans who get a free pass, a free state pass. And so what this bill does will begin a program to have that discounted pass, and that's an annual pass for any veteran who's a resident of the state of Utah, who has also been honorably discharged, and they will. State Parks is very much in favor of this, and we started it at 25% discount, and hopefully over time we can continue this program and increase that discount.
Senator, I just was looking here, and you have a Republican sponsor in the House. Would you say this proposal has bipartisan support?
Absolutely has bipartisan support. I mean, Democrats always need to have bipartisan support to pass bills. But yes, absolutely. I mean, I can't tell you anyone in our body who would not want to give some more recognition and honor to our veterans. And it's always a question of money, right? State Parks is has a different budget from any of our other departments because they have to be self-sustainable, and that's in code. So we're very mindful of that, and so we had to make sure that the Department of State Parks was supportive of the idea in relation to their budget, and that again that this was sustainable. State Parks was all for it. Again, we started at a 25% discount, but we're hoping that over time that can grow to whatever discount we can get to. So it does absolutely have bipartisan support.
That's fabulous. I know Utah's home to about 43 state parks. I couldn't help but notice, though, that this is the place Heritage Park was excluded. Can you tell me why? I mean, it's a wonky, kind of off the beaten path question, but in my reading, I read that. I just wondered if I could ask you.
Well, the Department of Veterans and Military Affairs worked with the Department of State Parks, and I think it has something to do with that park. And I am not sure on this either, but I think it has a different funding mechanism. I think it's a little bit different than other state parks.
Okay, one last question for me, if that's all right, Leah. Have you heard any opposition to the bill, Senator? Like, who would oppose this and why?
Well, there was. It actually failed in the Senate last week, and I was able to bring it back, reconsider the actions, and was able to pass it. There was some opposition, not to the entire idea of giving our veterans another recognition, but the idea that state parks does have its they have to have a self-sustaining budget, and so there was questions about that. There was also questions about whether or not this will open up the floodgates for other deserving groups. For example, should we give discounts to fire? Should we give discounts to police, teachers? And that is a question for another day. We already have our honor pass, and so this just allows all of our veterans to have that recognition.
So the bill was updated to address some of the concerns of them being a self-sustaining fund, to make sure that you weren't imposing a financial burden on the state parks by doing this. And when you resolved that, then the Senate was able to pass it?
Well, it actually was updated to include a sunset date. The Senate was not ready yet to go from a pilot program in 1 year to a full program. So they wanted to continue to see whether or not this is sustainable. And so that's what the update was.
State Senator Karen Kwan, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
So, Thomas, I think she raises right there. I love how you asked that. Seems like it's a brilliant, easy idea. Who could possibly be opposed to it?
Well, I kind of ask it like that on purpose, right?
Yeah,
because we all love our veterans. We want them in our state parks, but it just shows you the complexity of all these issues.
Yeah, no, and I thought it was interesting. It's about being concerned about opening the floodgates. I was really intrigued by the idea, Thomas, of running a pilot first, right? So you kind of say, let's do it for a year. And did it actually result in some kind of slippery slope? Because oftentimes in politics you go, man, if you do this, this might happen. And the answer is that's never going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So you're worried about something.
And the thing you didn't think about does happen.
Right. Some unintended externality shows up. So I wonder to what extent do you think that the legislature often does pilots like that when they are trying ideas?
I think they do pilots, but I also think they do a lot of what she said. They have bills, especially with these types of fiscal notes attached to them, that are sunsetting. And I think that's smart because you've seen the growth of government and what, at the national level going in and cleaning it all up when these programs do not sunset and the spending just continues year over year, how bloated and inefficient government gets. I love to do this in my business personally. Things that sunset make sense, because they go away and or you have to talk about them again to continue them. And right. I do see the legislature doing more of this. They've always done it, but I do feel like the pilot is the sunset.
Yeah, but also, what does she say? So last year was a pilot. This one adds a sunset. So I hear what you're saying. So you actually don't need to run a first round. You could just say, let's try this new idea, But you only have it for 2 years.
Yeah, sometimes they do run a pilot for sure. But then I also think there's times when it's like, hey, we'll try it. But it also, it's a pilot and then it moves into a sunsetting thing. And look, I mean, are people going to use it? How much does it cost? Is the $300,000 correct? Was it more? Was it less? You just don't know those things until you get into them and you pilot them and you test them. And so it's important to have sunsetting. And I think Utah uses it a lot because they have a balanced budget amendment where our federal government didn't. Yeah. They got themselves into a spending hole because they could, where our state, you can't.
You can't. So coming up in the second hour of Inside Sources, Thomas, let's shift gears and talk about national topics. I think you want to do that with me, including economic issues, latest on the budget talks. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. It's 2 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. KSL's top story this hour. A bill looking to help schools seeing a huge influx of non-English speaking students is only one vote away from clearing the Utah legislature. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has details.
The bill would allow schools who meet a certain threshold of new students who need help learning English to apply for emergency funding, which the school can then use however they feel it's needed the most. The proposal comes at a time Utah's public schools, including charters, are seeing a huge increase in students who need help learning English. According to state data, our public schools have added about 20,000 new English learners over the last 3 years. That's a 29% increase.
The bill unanimously cleared a Senate committee today. If the full Senate passes it, it will go to the governor. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Tens of thousands of people in Los Angeles County are being evacuated because a strong storm hitting the area could cause mudslides. ABC's Alex Stone has more.
Gloria Shamblin's home burned in the Eaton fire in Altadena. Now the home she's staying in is under an evacuation warning because it's at risk of a mudslide in the rain. She says she's not leaving because she's already been through so much.
I've got to be positive. What else am I going to do?
Burn areas are prone to sliding and heavy rain because the ground is bare and fragile without anything to absorb the water. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Taking a look at your money at this moment at the close. The Dow up by 343 points, more than 0.75%, sitting at 44,711. S&P 500 up by 63. That's more than a full percent. And the NASDAQ up 296 points. Weather's been hitting us hard. We'll check the forecast and take a look at the roads coming up next. KSL News Time, 2:02.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
What if your limited inventory had unlimited potential? What if your biggest risk was not taking one? What if you could make every move matter? Bank of America's Business Solutions can help bring your biggest what-ifs within reach. Find out how our digital tools, cutting-edge insights, and trusted expertise can work for your business. What would you like the power to do? Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Camping season is right around the corner, and Motorsportsland is throwing a huge RV party in the KZ RV Megatent at our Mill Creek store. Come and check out hundreds of RVs, accessories, and exciting activities including kids' movie nights, RV seminars, on-site radio events, yard games, food trucks, a live performance with Ryan Shoup and the Rubber Band, and did we mention over $30,000 in prizes? Event sponsors include KZ RV, Owned by Cummins, Suburban RV Appliances, Lion Energy, Lippert, Utah Big Game Outfitters, Equalizer, and many more. Free admission, free seminars, and free activities. Buy your RV with us this week and we'll beat any local dealer price or give you $100 cash. Check out motorsportsland.com for event schedule and guarantee details. Adventure awaits at Motorsportsland's Megatent RV event.
Let Motorsportsland help you get away.
4001 South State.
At Trio Senior Living, older adults aren't slowing down. They're just getting started. The Prime Fit Wellness Program expands wellness beyond the gym into every aspect of community life. Whatever your goals, the team at Trio Senior Living has got your back, so you can put your best foot forward. Call 801-475-4004 today to schedule your personal visit. This Friday from 10 to 1, the movie show comes to Sound Sleep. But first, take time to learn about a better night's rest. Sound Sleep delivers oral appliance therapy that treats sleep apnea without the use of CPAP machines. They're professionally fit, warranted, and covered by most major medical insurance. End the days of a poor night's sleep. With offices from Clearfield to St. George, Sound Sleep will help. Call Sound Sleep at 801-716-8672 today.
Emergency traffic coverage continues. It's brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. The update with Ricky Meese.
Well, snow is really impacting all roadways anywhere from Utah County to the Idaho line. Remember, we have the freeway closure on southbound I-15 in Weber County. It's all due to an accident in Marriott-Slaterville, but traffic will be forced off the freeway at 2700 North in Far West. We also are hearing now from UHP saying traction laws in place for I-80 in Parley's Canyon. UDOT saying roadway restrictions both directions of Highway 40, that's also Highway 189 in Heber, Wasatch County. We've had restrictions in place for Big and Little Cottonwood Canyons. If you're traveling I-15 in Salt Lake and Utah counties, it is a mess. You need to avoid it. Try to exit the freeway and take a side street. You will be much better off on a side street than sitting on I-15. We have had a ton of crashes and slide-offs that have affected travel with this snow that's come down. So you are going to be in solid delays north and southbound I-15 in spots between the South Interchange in Murray all the way through Orem. Again, I-15 is not the place to be right now. Lagoon is hiring full-time year-round ride maintenance technicians and electricians with journeyman or apprentice-level experience. Apply online or at lagoonpark.com/jobs. Must be 18 years of age or older to apply. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
These showers will continue through tomorrow. 100% chance through tomorrow, then 40% chance on Saturday, 30% on Sunday. Light snow, 29 degrees. I'm Maria Shaleos from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back. This is Thomas Wright. We have two new economic reports out today, shedding additional light on how the economy is doing. It comes after yesterday's Consumer Price Index showed that inflation is continuing to rise. That's a bummer. I don't like hearing that. Let's first get an update on these economic indicators, then we'll discuss them. We're going to go now to ABC's Jim Ryan.
Economists were expecting weekly jobless claims to rise by about 5,000. Instead, the Bureau of Labor Statistics says 7,000 fewer claims were filed. 213,000 applications were submitted in the week leading up to February 8th. Meanwhile, the Producer Price Index, which measures what producers get for their goods and services, rose by a seasonally adjusted 0.4% in January. Inflation pressures are still on. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
So inflation pressures still on. Does that make you nervous?
Yeah, it does make me nervous. I mean, you just don't want an inflation in this economy, and we've done a ton of work to try to curb it. We've all paid significant prices at the pump and in the grocery store, and it's just crushing to Americans to have this kind of inflation. And we kind of felt like we had turned this corner, didn't we? I mean, I did, and I know a lot of people who felt that way. And then to have this number come out and realize it's continuing to rise is troubling.
Right. So a little bit, I think, and so let's be political right out of the gate here. Thomas, didn't President Trump say he was going to fix this? Like, what is that fun quote we have him saying back during the campaign. Starting on day one at a campaign event in August, Trump said, "We will end inflation and make America affordable again." I feel like we're past day one, Thomas. So
we're
you tell me.
We're definitely past day one. So my question for you, I'm going to turn it around on you. When does the sitting president inherit the economy? Is it day one? I mean, is there a grace period? Because you have the president saying this is because of what Biden did. Of course, he's sitting in the Oval Office, so people are going to point and say it's your responsibility. Well, how do you see that?
I mean, I think, man, this is a hard question. And we talked about this in the last segment about how it feels like parties, do you know what I mean, have, like, how did you say it earlier? When the party's in power, they want the Constitution to run the way they want it to run. Yeah. And when they're out, right, like they want to change it. And the thing about the economy is a little bit, the economy just does what it does. And really what the president does at the margins, you know what I mean, might affect what's going on. It was not Trump's fault we had COVID. It might be Trump's fault that he's doing tariffs, right? If the tariffs affect the economic indicators, that might happen. But what's interesting is President Trump has got favorable polling, right? So he actually has 48.9% approval rating to 45.6% approval rating. That's better than he had in his first term. So people seem to be liking him a little bit, but it tends to be fading. So when we go back, that approval was about a point higher a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
So what I don't know is that approval rating falling because of the economy? So like you started this, you said, this is Thomas, inflation's not doing well and I'm upset. So maybe I am blaming the president for that. That's right, the air went out of the room. Or is it the case that maybe people are frustrated with other things that he's doing? And it's not like I'm doing a lot of words to not answer your question. What I'm saying is the economy does its own thing. Inflation is tied to other indicators that are really outside of the president's control. But a little bit, I think America, going back to George Washington, blames the president for however the country is doing. Definitely is going back to FDR when he made the case that the president could actually fix economic problems and then did, right? Like when he goes after the Great Depression. So a little bit, Trump is promising he's going to fix it on day one. It's not happening. I think it is his fault. I don't necessarily mean I think it is his fault, but he's promising to make those changes. Maybe his polling is slipping because people think it is his fault.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I mean, tariffs would be inflationary, but cutting government spending, which Doge is doing, would be deflationary.
Except, can I pause you right there?
Yeah, sure.
So the United States government is the number one employer in the country. Mm-hmm. So when you cut all of those businesses, if you will, like those agencies, those are actual jobs. Right? So Talk to me about what happens when I decide to get rid of the Department of Education and all of those federal employees. If I decide to cut the IRS, all those federal employees up in Ogden, that maybe is deflationary. But Thomas, that does seem like it's going to hit the economy, right, and some other end when those people can no longer purchase things.
Yeah, but you wouldn't employ thousands and thousands of people to buoy up the economy when your country's $36 trillion in debt and it's running a $2 trillion deficit.
Right, but they're already...
It's on the brink of...
Yeah, Thomas, I'm here with you,
You
right?
know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like my point in that is, I think what's more troubling to Americans is why are the 5 most wealthy zip codes in America right around the District of Columbia? I mean, you'd think they'd be in the Silicon Valley or somewhere else, but they're all right around the District of Columbia, and that's because there's tremendous government waste. There's overspending. There's programs that are not sunsetting, as we discussed in the last segment. And I think Americans are just tired of it. They're looking at where their money's being spent, and they just don't want to. They're not comfortable with it. But back to the point, it's deflationary to cut it. It does have other ramifications on the economy. To your point, for sure it does. But we've also been in an environment where we've had a labor shortage, right? And with the talk about immigration, I mean, 30% of the new construction workforce is coming from somewhere else. And I mean, it could all balance itself out too. But the point is what you have to do is you have to do the right thing. You have to do the right thing for the United States of America. And the right thing to do is to balance the budget, to cut spending, to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse, and to make the government do what it was intended to do, and that is not all of these programs that it's trying to run.
Right, but all of that then becomes President Trump's fault, right? To the point of this segment, you're not wrong. We have a $36 trillion debt. That's insane, and we really need to solve it. But as we solve it, President Trump will take the blame. What did he tell people? Yeah. These things are going to hurt. Right now, he's signing a plan for reciprocal tariffs on U.S. trading partners, right? These things are going to hurt. And he's going to get blamed for it.
Yeah, I wonder how much of the tariffs is a negotiating tactic, because remember when he said, it's 25% on Canada and Mexico, and then it wasn't, So but I get your point, and I do think the sitting president has the responsibility to make the economy work and to do the things that need to be done to make the economy function. And unfortunately, there's a reality in presidential politics, and that is sometimes the predecessor was the one that built the great economy, and you get credit for it. And then oftentimes the predecessor ran the country off a cliff, which in Trump's case is what he's dealing with. I mean, President Biden was, a disaster on multiple fronts economically. And now Trump has inherited that. The president has inherited that. And it's not going to turn itself around quickly, but it can turn itself around if we do the right things and we get back to the fundamentals.
Yeah. All right, coming up on Inside Sources, let's keep talking about finances and money. I love Thomas. I'm just going to keep pushing back on you. Are we any closer to getting a budget resolution passed? We're about a month out from that deadline. More on that next.
Join the smartest conversation in Utah, the team of analysts and political advisors that make up Inside Sources. Get unfiltered analysis of the new administration, the president's cabinet, and Utah's upcoming legislative session. Inside Sources, weekdays from 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
Whether you're a day person or a night person, Beatty, Nevada has something for you. During the day, visit the ghost town of Rhyolite or the Goldwell Open Air Museum, where you'll find modern art meets nature in the desert. For the outdoor adventurer, Beatty has hundreds of miles of hiking, biking, and trails to explore. Discover old mine and mill sites, petroglyphs, and more. Or take your picture with one of the resident burros walking around town. Sample award-winning chili at the Happy Burro, or barbecue ribs smoked daily at Smokin' Jay's. Beatty has affordable rooms and RV parks, friendly people, and the largest candy store in Nevada. At night, look up to some of the darkest skies in the West for an unforgettable astronomical experience. You're not going to want to miss the annual Death Valley Dark Skies Festival, coming up February 21st through the 24th. Beatty is located just 7 miles from the Death Valley National Park. That's Beatty, Nevada, day and night. For more information, visit BeattyNevada.org.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. We're going to start up at the north where we have a freeway closure southbound to I-15. It is closed due to a fatal accident in the Marriott-Slaterville area. All traffic will be forced off the freeway in Pleasant View at 2700 North. We do not have an estimated time as to when the freeway will reopen. And then to the south, you just need to avoid I-15 both directions between the South Interchange and Provo. Right now, traffic at a crawl And most of it is on the southbound side in Salt Lake County. The other side is northbound in Utah County, coming around the point of the mountain. There is no easy way to get through traffic on I-15 at this time between Murray and Provo. Just try to exit at your earliest convenience until the plows can get through. Some of these crashes can be cleared and the snow can be removed. But again, avoid I-15 both directions between Murray and Provo. Ricky Meeson, the KSL Traffic Center.
This is Derek Overstreet, the New Millennium Group, and host of Stop Working and Start Living Radio. If you're close to or in retirement and you don't have a tax plan, call us right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Listen, our country's been spending like never before, and the tax bill is coming soon. If you need an income tax strategy and a financial plan that will get you through the rest of your life, give my team a call, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. If you want an investment plan that allows you to keep more of your gains and pay less taxes, give us a call, 888-999-6370. My team specializes in the type of plan that will get you retired 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible. So, get a no-cost tax analysis by calling 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. My team is standing by now.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Tom Kelly's carbon fiber mountain bike. Because more than riding his carbon fiber mountain bike, Tom loves telling people about his carbon fiber mountain bike. Friends, family, even a local barista knows about his carbon fiber mountain bike. And that's why Tom's carbon fiber mountain bike, if you haven't heard about it, is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for University Housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Spend less time at the post office. With Formax and Mint mailing systems from Les Olson IT, you can quickly, accurately, and easily process your outgoing mail and even save on postage. Fold your documents, stuff and seal your envelopes, print addresses, weigh and measure to apply proper postage, all with the click of a button. With multiple model options available, you're sure to find a Formax solution and Mint mailing device that perfectly fits your business needs.
Les Olson IT.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
1 month and 1 day until the federal government runs out of money. How many times have we heard this? And while Republicans control both chambers of Congress, they're continuing to struggle about getting on the same page.
So pause. I feel like I've seen this film before, Thomas, right? We know the ending.
Trivia question. When was the last time we had a budget passed in America?
Oh my gosh, was it like before World War II?
Seems like it.
Yeah, right?
1998, Bill Clinton.
Oh, wow.
How do you run a country or a business or a household without a budget?
Yeah, legit. But that's a lot more recent than I realized.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
You know, and that was the last time we balanced the budget, by the way. And the point is we are operating the United States government on what they call a continuing resolution, a CR, and the continuing resolution comes up and they kick the can, and you know it's just frustrating.
For 27 years.
Yeah, and both parties are to blame here, right? Like we own it. Like the debt, the inefficiency, the poor management, we both own it. The House usually starts on the budget, but that's where most of the contention is in this case. So that's going to be a challenge. They finally released some idea of their plan, but not after the Senate decided to do their own thing. So the Senate sent over a skinny budget, quote in quotes. They sent a skinny budget resolution to the floor. So, you know, this kind of relates back to what we were talking about, cutting the waste, fraud, and abuse. You know, why is Washington, D.C. the wealthiest place to live, you know, when it's the government? And I kind of went out of my way to make the point that it's impossible for government spending and waste to create long-term prosperity, which is why communist and socialist countries fail. That is not what we are. And so I support the reduction in the size of government in a thoughtful and effective way. But what's your take on all this?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting here is we talk about that $36 trillion debt that we have. And my question to you is, without a budget, we can't solve it. So if we've got 27 years of just basically flying by the seat of our pants, and that 27 years includes Republican presidents and Democratic presidents and Republican Congresses and Democratic Congresses, and a little bit, can I just pick on you? So here's some side eye right at
Lots
your
of people pick on me.
Republican
I'm down.
Party.
Let's do it.
But I'm going to tell you what, Thomas, you all used to be deficit hawks. You all used to care about this, and you would all be like, we have to make sure we don't have a deficit. And I haven't seen much evidence, right, of the Republican Party doing that recently. So a little bit, it's like there's nobody guarding the castle
why
at
do
all.
you think the Democrats are pushing back then on cutting the waste, fraud, and abuse? Like, what are they complicit? Are they in on it, or
No,
do they really like this deficit spending? Because Republicans now finally are doing something. And the left's pushing back, and I watch it, and I'm asking myself, why are they pushing back? Are they benefiting? Do they not want the other party to take credit? Do they love credit more than they love our country? Like, well, what is it?
Yeah, no, I think the answer is where the cuts happen, maybe. So what I saw a Democrat congressman talking about, right, was like Elon Musk. Let's just pick on Mr. Doge for just a second. $7 million like a day, right, to his businesses getting money from the federal government. So I think the pushback, if I'm being kind of really specific, I think Democrats feel like, how about we not cut Social Security? How about we cut funding out to SpaceX, right, is what I saw when I was watching C-SPAN. But I legit think the problem is, because another thing I read was like Republicans want to cut everything, and then privately are like, but not in my state and not that industry, right,
Sure,
because my voters work
been.
there. So the problem is neither side is really willing to have a hard conversation, you know what I mean, about it's going to hurt people to make these cuts.
First, let me address the conflict of interest. I got to push back on this a little bit.
Okay.
Elon Musk should not be appropriating money to places where he has a conflict of interest. I have a problem with that.
Okay, I have a problem with him completely.
But there is I'm sure, but there is nobody in this country that doesn't have a conflict of interest. Here you and I sit on this radio show discussing issues. I'm in the real estate industry. That puts me in a conflict on certain issues that I have to be wary about, disclose, and make sure that when I'm talking about those issues, I'm being an honest broker and I'm not trying to pad my pockets, right?
Yeah.
And you have a career and you have conflicts too.
My pockets are not padded.
I know. Well, neither are mine. But the point is we all have conflicts of interest. So this idea that it's only Elon Musk is I think problematic. Now, definitely he has federal contracts. That makes it a little different. And you got to be careful surrounding those. But if that's the excuse to stop, we're never going to make any progress.
Oh my gosh, no, I can't agree with you more right there.
Okay.
Right? Like I feel like $36 trillion is clearly a problem. When you ask the question, why are Democrats pushing back? I think they are making the argument that industry like Elon Musk, let's use a very specific example. We talked about it on this show a couple of weeks ago. We're not going to have any immigrants except for the tech, right? So it was a whole conversation about which visas we were going to award, and the visas we were going to award for immigrants were for tech industry. And that felt just very like, no, either no one comes, that. Does that make sense, Thomas? Like it can feel like the party in charge is picking their favorites. I do think Democrats also pick their favorites. But man, we were talking earlier, and what did you say to me? You can't change the Constitution. It's so important. But I feel like a 28th Amendment that said balanced budget might be a good change.
That would be.
All right, go.
And I said that earlier. Like, you can change the Constitution. There's a constitutional process to change it. What I was warning against is implementing and picking winners and losers from the clauses of the Constitution on what you want to enforce because it's convenient at the time. That's what you can't do, because then you create inconsistency. You don't have a framework for government, and you can justify any behavior at any given time. And we know our politicians will do that.
Yeah.
And we, the people, are not going to allow them to do that because we have a constitution that enumerates their rights and their responsibilities, and we're going to hold them accountable to it. And if we, the people, decide to change that, expand it, contract it, change it with amendments, we can do that, and there's a constitutional amendment process to make that happen.
Yeah. All right. So let's pick really on the Republicans. Is that all right, Thomas? You get ready.
Go for it. Yeah,
you
let's
can
talk.
defend. Because right now, unfortunately, the Republicans are in charge. So they have got the presidency, they have got the House, they have got the Senate. So if I were comparing this to football, that's all three phases of the game, right? right? So you are a Republican, Thomas. You are the head coach for this team.
I'm not the head coach.
No, let's just pretend like you're playing the role of being the head
sure.
coach of this team. Yeah, like in this hypothetical I'm setting up. Who do you roll with? The House budget, the Senate budget. Would you say to your player, Donald Trump, I'm going to need you to come in a little bit heavier and a little less agnostic as to what package you actually want? Because right now we've got dueling budgets happening and we are just a little ways away from a government shutdown. If you were the head coach, I know that you're not, but I'm just putting you there in that spot. Where do you go?
Well, you have to get back to common sense. And look, let me make sure I'm real clear on this. I am a conservative, but I'm an American first. I am not worried as much about my Republican values as I am about the values of the country and the success and prosperity of this country and the continuance of what has been the greatest country and will continue to be the greatest country the world has ever known. And that's because of the freedom and liberty that the Constitution provides us. So I would just say we've got to get back to some basics. I will support anybody who wants to have common sense, who wants to balance the budget. We cannot continue to spend $2 trillion more than we take in. We can't continue spending money on all these crazy programs that I read about that DOJ is uncovering. And I would really love to get an answer to the question of how do these politicians go to D.C., make $230,000 a year, and walk out of there worth $90 million? Like, there's a lot of questions that a lot of people want answers to, and I'm for common sense. I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm a constitutional American, and I have rights under the Constitution, and I want to know what my government's doing. So as the head coach, I would say, let's get back to the basics. It's what I preach in my company as a CEO.
Yeah.
The fundamentals and the basics are always what create prosperity. We can't be prosperous as a country when we're spending more than we're taking in. We can't be prosperous when we're picking petty fights. We've got to get back to the basics.
All right. When Inside Sources returns, Thomas, let's go back to the Utah State Capitol and have a conversation about housing. That's a big issue, important locally. Stay with us.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Good afternoon, 2:30 at KSL. I'm Jeff Kaplan, KSL's top local story this hour. Breaking news on KSL. One person is dead after a crash on I-15 in Box Elder County this afternoon. Utah Highway Patrol says it happened southbound near the Box Elder-Weber County border. They say a vehicle drove into the back of a semi. We don't know if the crash is weather-related. We'll bring you more information when we have it. Meantime, Ricky Meese will have the latest from the traffic center coming up in about 3 minutes. KSL News Time 2:31. Schools could be ordered to give free breakfast and lunch to all children if a bill before the legislature gains traction. Here's KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla.
Senator Luz Escamilla says no child should be forced to learn on an empty stomach. SB 173 calls for a universal free school lunch and breakfast program.
We know that hunger affects their cognitive functions like concentration, memory, and problem solving.
The Senate Education Committee was immediately concerned with the cost. Escamilla says it would cost the state around $160 million a year. The bill asks parents to pay for the lunch if they can, but several public commenters showed concern that people will take advantage of the program.
Feeding America says 1 out of 6 children in Utah don't know where their next meal is coming from. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump answered questions in the Oval today after signing an executive order about reciprocal tariffs.
If you build here, you have no tariffs whatsoever. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think our country is going to be flooded with jobs.
The president didn't order any new tariffs. He ordered the government to study the idea. Your money at this moment, the Dow picked up 342 points today. And coming up, major roads are snarled this afternoon because of the weather. We're going to bring you the update in just a few. Stay with us. It's 2:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number Limited Edition Smart Bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
At the UPS Store, we know being a small business owner means holiday time is still go time. Still get those orders shipped time. And still re-up on stamps and supplies time. That's why this upcoming holiday, while others close up shop, we'll be open. And happy to help you keep being unstoppable. Come into your local store today. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, pricing, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable.
Did you know the Social Security Trust Fund is projected to run out of money in less than 10 years? Yes, 10 years. And according to Barron's, this could cost the average couple $16,500 every year in lost income. Now multiply that by 10 or 20 years, and it could easily add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's why it's critical you have the right strategy to file for Social Security. Learn more in a free report, your guide to filing for Social Security in 2025 and beyond. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $200,000 and have not filed for Social Security, get your free report now by calling 801-251-1046. 801-251-1046. That number again, 801-251-1046.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
For 72 hours, you can save up to 50% off when you buy tickets to your favorite Tuacahn shows this season. Get the best deals on tickets to Tuacahn's Broadway shows, like Disney's The Little Mermaid, The Wizard of Oz, Newsies, Elf, and $1 Million Quartet. Visit Tuacahn.org now through February 13th. Use promo code 72radio for buy one, get one, up to 50% off Broadway tickets. That's 72radio at Tuacahn.org.
In 2024, dating is a disaster. We've been ghosted, breadcrumbed, stuck in situationships. Hi, I'm Debbie. I'm Caitlin. Welcome to our new podcast, Dating at Her Age. Dating has been so dicey for us, we asked KSL, can we launch an all-new podcast about it?
People use these dating apps. You're not really dating when you're on the dating app.
Dating at Her Age, brought to you by Mountain Home Services. A new episode drops every Thursday on KSLNewsRadio.com.
It's Emergency Traffic. We're brought to you by Mountain America's Limited Time Balance Transfer Bonus. Ricky Meese, go ahead.
We still have a freeway closure in place southbound I-15 in far west, and it's due to a fatal accident down at Marietta Slaterville. All traffic will be forced off the freeway southbound I-15 at 2700 North. Now, just be aware that all roads, whether that's I-15 or some of the main secondaries between Tremonton and about Bountiful, are snow-packed and snow-covered. If you don't have to be out in this, don't. Over to the east, traction laws in place for Big Cottonwood Canyon, Little Cottonwood Canyon, and I-80 in Parleys, which is experiencing heavy snowfall and delays. That's from Lambs Canyon into Highway 40. Now, I-15 in Utah and Salt Lake counties. Drivers should plan to avoid both directions between Murray and Provo until that road has a chance to recover and be cleared of all the crashes. There are too many crashes to mention. Some are blocking, some are not. We cannot go through all of them, but snowplows are trying to get through. But for right now, for your drive home, if you're planning to leave the office, you need to plan an alternate route than I-15. Take a surface street. It may take a long time, but you'll still be at least moving, whereas on I-15, that is no guarantee. The Murdoch Auto Team is celebrating 100 years of winter journeys. At Murdoch Hyundai, right now receive 1.99% for 4 years on the Santa Fe or 2.99% for 4 years on the Elantra. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
The KSL weather forecast, you can expect 3 to 4 inches on the valley floor before the changeover to rain. It should come at the end of rush hour. Expect 6 to 12 inches on the higher benches. Right now in Salt Lake City, it's snowing. We have 29 degrees. I'm Jeff Kaplan from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. This is Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
Housing. Now, by way of disclosure, I'm the CEO of Summit Sotheby's International Realty, leading brokerage in the state of Utah.
So you're the problem.
No, I'm not the problem, but I always like to disclose because I said that earlier. We all got to play it straight. It's going to take creative solutions, though, to fix the housing crisis the state of Utah faces. There's some great bills on the Hill, but we have a leading expert, somebody that cares a lot about this, that's put a lot of time and energy into finding creative solutions to make housing affordability a reality in Utah. State Senator Kirk Collimore is on with us. Senator, thank you for joining us.
Thomas, Leah, good to be with you guys. Thanks.
Senator Collimore, I'm wondering, Thomas just said this is a problem. Can you talk to us first about kind of the parameters, if you will, of the problem? Like, we all talk about housing is an issue. Can you give us, not like just when we say it's a problem, what are you all looking at when you're trying to solve it?
Well, from my vantage point, this is basic economics. It's a supply and demand issue. If we want housing prices in Utah are disproportionate to the average median household income right now. And so it's really making housing a problem. We've seen in the rental market that we have added a lot of supply to the rental market over the last 4 or 5 years. And there's studies that are showing that rental prices are actually kind of tapering off. They're leveling out. And so I think the same would be true for housing. If we get more supply out there, we're going to see a leveling off. But we are way behind on supply right now. And that comes down to a number of issues, including infrastructure, including working with local communities to get entitlements, and what can we do to incentivize building affordable single-family homes? Because for home builders, that may not be the most profitable thing right now, to look at those attainable housing type products.
Senator, the Utah Inland Port, can you talk about what opportunities present themselves with the Inland Port to potentially alleviate some of that supply problem that we have, increasing supply of affordable housing?
Yeah, so Senate Bill 250 has some cleanup stuff, and really this is just addressing tools that we've put in place and put in law in years past, where certain reinvestment areas or inland port areas can use tax infrastructure financing tools to help with the development there. But what we've said, and some of these tools that we've used said, okay, if you're going to get the benefit of this increment financing, you should use the state saying use a portion of that to go towards housing development. And so with the inland port creating economic development areas, what we're saying is, inland port, if you do this, there may be some increment, and this is really permissive in this bill, but it says you can use 10% of that, up to 10% of that increment financing to go towards housing within a radius of this project area. And again, it's just another tool to incentivize development of attainable or even low-income housing.
I like that, Senator Collimore, because what I hear you saying is if it's about the supply, trying to look places, and I want to be honest with you and say I'm not even sure I understand what the inland port is doing, so I might ask you that question. But like what you're saying is, can we kind of think of ways to incentivize increasing housing supply all across the board, right? And making it something, I like how you said, the problem is housing prices are way out of proportion of the median household income. And I think I even saw data that said it's cheaper to rent in Utah right now, right, Senator? So that makes it, what we want are homeowners, right? And if it's cheaper to rent, you haven't really incentivized individuals to make that economic leap. And then, so it's the case of using the inland port to try to address that. And maybe there are other ways to address housing you'd like to speak about.
Yeah, I think the inland port is just one example of some of their areas, but this bill also talks about reinvestment zones. We have other tools out there where there might be economic development plans that cities or counties or even the state has interest in, and using some of those funds that are generated by that economic development to go towards housing development and to be used for the infrastructure that would be necessary to make housing available and thereby more accessible too. But then also some of the tools that we've put in place the last couple of years is telling developers and cities like, hey, here's the type of product that we'd really like to see, because it's easy, it's easy for cities to say we want half-acre lots and we want people to move in that are going to add to the aesthetics of the community or whatever. It's harder sometimes to say, hey, we want 10 townhomes on a half-acre lot. But that's really the type of product that's missing in Utah, and that's the type of product that first-time home buyers and people in their late 20s and mid-30s can actually afford right now. And so, again, it's just looking for tools to help incentivize that type of development of those types of products.
Senator, I know you know this, but for the listeners out there, it's the local municipalities that control the zoning laws and how many, what the land use ordinances are, right? Like how many homes you can put on an acre, can you put the townhomes that you described? Everybody is scared of NIMBYism, right? Everybody wants more affordable housing. They want higher density. They just don't want it in their community. How do you juggle being a state senator, knowing this issue, knowing that there's this problem in the state of Utah, but also knowing that you're a state elected official and not a local elected official that can change this in a city like, Orem or Lehigh or, how do you juggle that? And how do we get everybody moving in the same direction?
Yeah, good question, Thomas. And it's something we struggle with this every year up here is the push and pull between seeing things at a macro level, at the state level, not wanting to step on local control and local zoning and stuff like that. But recognizing that, from Ogden to just south of Provo is surprisingly the longest and most dense urban area in the entire United States. And decisions that are made in South Jordan, for example, have a direct effect on Riverton and Bluffdale and even out to Draper and West Jordan and all of that. And so we've got to implement policies that help local policymakers recognize that our community has changed, and we are really one big urban community right now, and you can't make these zoning decisions in a bubble. And so trying to pass policies that help recognize that, help recognize the regional significance of some of their seemingly local decisions.
State Senator Kirk Cullimore, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and good luck with your bill.
Hey, thank you very much,
Thanks,
guys.
Senator.
In our final segment, Thomas, on today's Inside Sources, it feels like it's easy to feel overwhelmed. There's always something going on. My goodness, President Trump gives us a lot of content every day. Let's finish this show off with a discussion on how to stay engaged when there's so much to keep track of. Come back.
Someone asked me the other day, do you know how many devices the average home has connected to their Wi-Fi network? It's way more than I thought. I actually went home and counted my connected devices, more than a dozen, all to keep me connected to the good stuff, streaming, my gaming, interneting, you name it. Xfinity knows the number of connected devices you have is growing by the year. That's why they engineered their gateways to handle hundreds of connected devices. Hundreds, for real. Now through March 18th, get Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 1 year with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add an unlimited mobile line, and ask how to get an eligible free 5G phone with trade-in. Make sure your home Wi-Fi can handle everything you throw at it and then some. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store to switch today. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account, taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced mobile speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Data thresholds and actual internet speeds vary.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Emergency traffic continues on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. We do have a freeway closure southbound I-15, 2700 north in Weber County. It's due to a fatal accident, but just remember, all roads anywhere from Farmington up to Tremont and are experiencing this storm and seeing slick driving conditions. Then to the east, we have a nasty drive on I-80 in Parley's Canyon, particularly between Lambs and Kimball Junction. The traction law is in place for traffic traveling both east and westbound I-80 and Parley's, but I-15 just remains jammed up and hardly any traffic moving. You need to plan to avoid I-15 either direction between Murray and Provo, especially if that's your normal drive home. If you're thinking about another route to go home, try the surface streets because our main secondaries are also dealing with overflow delays and winter driving conditions. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very
calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. Coach Coney Dungy, the first African-American head coach to win a Super Bowl when he led the Indianapolis Colts to win Super Bowl 41, shared a profound question that he asked his team the first time he met them. He said, "Are any of you motivated to do better by a coach who yells and swears?" Well, no one raised their hand. "Then I won't do that," he said. Well, the same thing's true with employees and children and even students. Yelling, shaming, and profanity evoke fear, but not better performance. Learn more about becoming a motivating leader with an MBA from Utah State University. Go to utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
Hi, this is Kathy.
And Jason from Window World.
Jason, there's a window company giving huge discounts, saying it's the biggest sale ever.
And last month they were offering free labor. That just doesn't add up.
We don't play those games. At Window World, everyone gets the same low price every day.
No pressure, no games, and now we offer siding too.
Call Window World today, 801-281-8111 for 4 windows and a patio door for just $56.12.
And as Doug always said,
that's no baloney.
Need a perfect event venue? This is the Place Heritage Park. Ideal for weddings and events featuring 11 venues, beautiful grounds, affordability for any celebration. This is theplaceheritage.org.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
There are several things going on in the political world right now. Thomas, have you been paying attention? Lots of things going on.
It's so fun right now, isn't it? It's it's like a fireworks show every day.
My goodness, I think, yes, if you are someone who really likes politics, it can feel like a fireworks show. But I imagine if you're not really into politics like we are, maybe you're like a dog at a fireworks show, right?
So it's a fever pitch.
Yeah, you are cowering because of all that noise. One of my favorite things to start my day with is Holly Richardson's Utah policy. So every morning I'm reading what she's saying. She's got an excellent piece in the Deseret News yesterday or the day before this week, we'll just go with that, where she talks about the fact that a college student asked her if it was worth it to stay up to date on politics and to be actively trying to make change. If a young person, you said earlier in the show, you've got, children. If one of your children asked you, is it worth it to stay up to date on politics and to be actively trying to make change, what would you say?
Absolutely. But I like Holly's piece a lot, and I can reference some of it in here. And I've used some of this, but she says it so well, as she always does. One is pace yourself, right? Don't try to do more than you can really do. Don't go so hard that you burn out. I think a steady application of effort is much better than a in and out kind of, get in, really fight hard, and then get out, take a break. But sometimes you do need to take a break. I have had to do that in my life. I know others that have. If you get to a point where it's not making you feel good and it's bringing out the worst in you, take a little break. Take some time to decompress.
Oh, that's interesting. How do you think, and Thomas, you're someone who's been very active in politics, right? Been a candidate, been a GOP chair here in the state. How do you achieve self-awareness to know? How did you just say that? That a version of yourself is showing up that maybe is not the version you want to be cultivating? Like, is that just taking...
When the issue becomes more important than the people, then that's a sign. If you stop being kind and compassionate and trying to hear and listen to other people, even when they disagree with you, and you may disagree with them and you may think they're totally wrong, but when it becomes personal and when the policy that you're fighting for overrides the innate nature to be kind and compassionate to fellow human beings, that's a good sign right there, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a moment that, like, clearly I've got to check out for at least a little bit.
Yeah, just take a little break. I mean, we put our kids in timeout. We got to be willing to put ourselves in timeout.
Yeah, I love
just take
that.
a little break.
And I love this, too. Like, what Holly says in her piece is a no today might be a yes tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, that happens all the time.
One of the things I think is sometimes we feel like, oh my goodness, it's the end of days kind of attitude. This is the most important election. This is the most important issue. And you kind of want to be like, no, like every issue is the most important. Every election is the most important, which means none of them actually are, right? Like to a certain extent, you don't have to be in on every fight.
Correct. And I do think that in a lot of ways, politics has replaced other value systems that we've had in our society. And look, a lot of these issues are important, and people do have a lot of passion and energy, and good. That's great. That's why we love being in this country. But just don't lose perspective of there's people on the other side, and don't lose perspective of your own personal integrity. You don't want to look back and say, wow, I overfought that fight to the detriment of what people thought of themselves and the way that I made them feel. That's at least the way I have tried to look at it. Try to be civil, try to be passionate, try to be convicted, stand up for what you believe in. You and I have disagreed on the show, but we're friends.
Right.
And I always say, like, one of the best friends I ever made in politics was the Utah Democrat chair when I was the Utah Republican Party chair. Jim DeBacchus and I continue to have a close personal relationship. We've kept in touch. And we don't agree on very many issues, but we never let it cross over into the personal. We would disagree. We would shake hands. We'd go try to make our things happen, knowing that that one of us may win and one of us may lose, and it'd be okay with it.
I love that you're bringing that up. One of the things that Holly says in her piece is to join with others. And earlier on the show, someone texted in, Thomas, and said that you and I both had confirmation bias, but it was fun, right? Because we were like kind of going after it. But Holly says in her piece, to make sure that you don't end up with confirmation bias of your own echo chamber is to stay curious and open to learning from people who think differently than you. So your story right there about being friends with the Utah Democratic chair, which, by the way, the two of you, right, that's a job nobody wants. So no one else in the state would understand that as well as he did in that moment, right?
Yeah, nobody knows it's a volunteer job you do in addition to everything else you do, and it is very thankless, but I loved it, and it was an honor to serve. But I want to say one thing. Somebody told me recently that one of the signs of high intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing thoughts in your mind simultaneously. And when I heard that, I thought to myself, wow, that's kind of interesting. And this speaks to politics. Can you hold two opposing thoughts in your mind? You may not agree with one of them, or you may agree with one of them more than the other, but can you hold them? Can you process them? Can you understand them? And I have seen in my political life, so to speak, and I've probably had times where that wasn't happening. And so just think about that. If you're listening, can you hold the two opposing thoughts in your mind and then go articulate the one that you believe in?
Right. And a little bit, Thomas, I'm not sure our political world right now rewards that. right? So when we talk about people who maybe change their mind or are, how did we say earlier, exploring options, right? We talked about exploring options. Then they get kind of criticized for being wishy-washy, for being two-faced, for
or being a compromiser,
right? Or for compromising,
sure,
right?
yeah.
And the answer kind of is actually no. Compromise is the point of the United States Constitution, right? Like it is.
Yeah.
The Great Compromise is the thing that started the whole document. So to a certain extent, maybe we need to be better at understanding that you can hold two different opposing truths. You can explore those opposing truths, right? And not be attacked for it.
Yeah, and it's not an affront to your beliefs, that you're just processing and that you could actually learn something new. You may gather information that you didn't know before. And if you're doing that and the other person is doing the same thing, they're gathering new information, then everybody is winning. Everybody is expanding their understanding of an issue. And these issues are so complex, right, that you have to be willing to do that. So some people view it as compromise, and then other people view it as learning and trying to find common ground. So it's just all in the way that you phrase it. But if I was negotiating for $1 and I could get 65 cents or get 0, I would say 65% isn't a compromise, isn't evil. It's, hey, I got 65 cents. I didn't quite get the $1 I wanted, but 0 doesn't get you anything.
Yeah, and a little bit I would say, too, if I can get something and you also, you know what I mean? Even if we disagree, then that's wonderful, right? Because both sides are getting something, right? We might not be getting 100% of what we wanted, but at least everybody is walking away from the table having earned, right, or won something.
And Jim DeBacchus used to say this. So I'm kind of stealing his line, but he used to say, Thomas and I are very different. We come from different backgrounds. We have different political perspectives, but if we sat down at a restaurant with the back of a napkin, we would probably agree on a lot of the solutions to many of the country's problems.
That's right.
So can't we just focus on those?
Yeah. Thomas, it has been lovely spending 2 hours with you today. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to Inside Sources. We'll be back tomorrow. Next up, Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. It's 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan. We're at 30 degrees with the snow. KSL's top story. For valley dwellers who've forgotten what driving is like in the snow, this afternoon you get the refresher course as the flakes fall. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera is out in the elements. He's talking to drivers, and he's joining us live. Eric?
Jeff, that was the most treacherous drive I've made all winter by far. It took me over an hour to get from Murray to this Maverick right off the Timpanogos exit into Lehigh. I-15 from the point of the mountain, by the way, heading south to Lehigh is caked with snow. And as I passed multiple people struggling to get their cars to point in a straight line, I'm almost reporting with my eyes closed here as the strong winds and heavy, thick snowflakes are doing that thing where it flies sideways and hits you in the face.
It's bad out there. It's very windy, lots of snow. It's snowing